What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. This video is going to be my top 5 winter bass baits. We're going to talk about what they are, when to use them, how to use them, what it feels like when you get bit. The first bait we're going to talk about is going to be the jerk bait. When you can find fish in the water column, the jerk bait is absolutely the right bait to use. A lot of times if you're reading graphs and stuff and you can spot your bass, you can put that jerk bait right in front of them. I would say a suspending jerk bait would be ideal. If they're up in the water column, run that jerk bait, put it right in front of their face, you're gonna get bit. A lot of times I tend to gravitate towards a sinking jerk bait in the winter months. I tend to get picked up on the fall. You work it, twitch, and just let it slowly sink. And in the winter months, it is absolutely true if you think you're fishing slow, fish slower. Another thing to consider when you're using jerk baits or anything of that nature is you want to make sure that you have really sharp hooks. Bass, their whole mouth and everything else, just like anything else, tends to get a bit harder. You need nice sharp hooks because you're not going to hook set into them with a jerk bait. You're pretty much going to lean into your hook set and try to keep them pinned. So the sharper the hook, the less chances you have of that fish coming off when you're bringing it to the boat or to the shore, wherever you're fishing when it's cold. Bait number 2. Bait number 2 is one of my favorites. In the winter months, this bait is always tied onto one of my rods, and we're talking about the jig. There are several different kinds of jigs. To pinpoint what's the right one for the winter months, that's gonna be a tough one. But I would definitely say football or arky or flipping jig. If your winter bass are set up on structure or any laydowns or anything of that nature, then that arky might be the one for you. You can really put it in to a tight spot and work those fish out of there. That football jig I like around grasses and dirt bottoms and things where you're just dragging. A lot of times bass tend to sit at the bottom or the deepest sections of the water column because that's where the warmer water is going to be in the winter months, and vice versa in the summer. When it's dead heat summer, that coldest water is going to be at the bottom. When you get bit on a jig, it's tough. It's almost, how do I say this? You don't really know that they have it. All of a sudden your bait just feels a little heavier. It could probably be two things, a little bit of grass or vegetation down there, or it's probably a fish. So feel it out and then just rip into it. When you're using a jig, that's a thick wire hook. So you're gonna need a little more oomph to really make that penetrate. Whoa! Rip into it! Try to emulate or imitate some of the bait fish that they might be eating. It's all about what you feel confident using. And this bait right here is absolute money. It works all over the place. We're talking about soft plastics. Now, of course, you can rig this up several different ways. Texas rig is one of my favorite ways. Again, in the wintertime, I'm talking weightless. Like if you want to rig a Senko weightless, you can rig it wacky, whatever makes you feel more comfortable, but fish it slow. When we're fishing weightless, I tend to get all of my bites on that fall. That's a real good way for me to tell where the fish are in the water column. If I'm not getting picked up on that weightless setup, that means that they're probably hanging out on the bottom. It's hard to keep a weightless setup on the bottom if you're working it. A really good way to help that is to throw a little weight on there. Now we're talking like a bullet weight. You can use anywhere from a 64th all the way up to a whole ounce. Just depends on what you want your presentation to look like. Another setup that's great for soft plastics is a Carolina rig. What I like about the Carolina rig is that it's the best of both worlds. So you get your weighted setup, it stays right on the bottom, but then you also get the properties of a weightless setup while the bait's moving freely at the end of the rig. Ooh, this one is a killer setup. Almost everybody knows about this. We're talking about the Dropshot. Dropshot's cool because you can easily keep your bait up off the bottom, right where the fish are in the water column, or keep it down at the bottom. There's no right or wrong way to fish the Dropshot. It's super adjustable. It's very versatile. You can use all sorts of baits. The Dropshot really allows you to put the bait right in the strike zone. As they move, as you move, you can adjust your leader accordingly. Plus it allows you to fish lighter baits, like lighter soft plastics. And we're talking like flukes, little craws, maybe little paddle tails, robo worms, anything of that nature. Now, I'm probably gonna catch some flack for this one, but it has totally worked for me, and we're talking about swim baits. Swim baits / swim jigs, nice paddle tail, really good color presentation, green pumpkin, bluegill, things of that nature that these bass are eating. That color presentation is gonna help you get bit for sure. Now when you're swimming it, a weighted setup is probably better In my opinion, I like using the swim jig with that paddle tail on there. The bite feels exactly like a spinnerbait bite. That's kind of what I like about that. I love the spinnerbait bite. I feel like the swim bait bite is a good one because it looks like a big meal in their eyes. If I eat that, I won't have to eat for a couple days. That's the best part about fishing for bass in the winter is a lot of people stop. Bass don't stop. Bass don't stop eating. Just like anything, they need to eat to survive. Just because they feed up heavy in the fall doesn't mean they're gonna stop. They have to eat to survive, so you can catch them for sure. Again, if you think you're fishing slow, fish slower. With that being said, bass fishing can be unpredictable. What one fish is doing in one water system doesn't mean that they're all doing that in the neighboring pond or river or even state. Make sure that you're leaving it open to interpretation because things can change, conditions can change, wind, all of that stuff drives the bass differently. I encourage you guys to try any of these baits out. Let me know how it works for you. Let me know if it didn't work. Hey, maybe you found something else that works better. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.